Tomorrow is the election, and I know that people all across the country and all across the world are watching to see what's going to happen and are curious and interested. Some people are nervous. So I just wanted to address that in our practice today. So let's start seated, and you're going to sit on your blanket, and your blanket is folded over. So you've got a little height to it. And when you sit down on your blanket, cross your right shin in front of your left shin and draw your feet underneath your knees. So your knees are stacked right in front of your hip points. So you can just take a little moment to establish where your hip points are, draw straight lines out, and that is where your knees land. And then rest your hands on the inside of your knees. Close your eyes. And just take a few deep breaths to center yourself and to arrive on this mat and in this practice. So let's start with the mind, and I kind of asked you guys already how you woke up feeling this morning. And I just want you to take a moment and notice kind of all the different channels that your mind flicks through. And some of you guys might have flicked through 10 or 20 channels this morning, and some of you guys might have just woken up and been on one or two different channels, but just kind of notice what channels you've been tuned into this morning. So right now we're kind of channel surfing. And now I want us to all turn to the channel of the breath. And I want us to really arrive in that channel where we're watching and observing our breath. Creating a sense of steadiness and a place to focus our awareness. And so Yoga Sutra number 12, we're going to focus on Yoga Sutra number 12 today. And I'll kind of give you the backstory on that. Yoga Sutra number 12 states Abhyasa and Viagra, which basically means perseverance and detachment, represent the two essential aspects of life working together like wings of a bird. And I bring that up so that we can help to release some of the nervousness or anxiety that we might have going into this election, if we are indeed carrying any of that. And if we aren't, that's fine too. We can still practice Abhyasa and Viagra, perseverance and detachment. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's the metaphor of a magical skeleton key, which allows us to see the divine in everything. So no matter what the outcome, let us close our eyes to the external world and open our third eye so that we can see out with love and acceptance whatever the outcomes may be. And now let's start to bring awareness into the physical body. So find your two sitting bones and press them down into the blanket that you're sitting on. And as you root down your sitting bones, allow your spine to start to stretch as if there was a cable attached to the crown of your head. Feel your collarbones broaden. And on your next inhale breath, pour the breath all the way down into the lowest part of your belly, expanding the breath up into the rib cage and all the way up into the upper lobes of the lungs. And as you exhale, exhale from the top down all the way into the bottom. So again, it's as if you're filling a pitcher. Pour the breath into the lowest part of your pelvis and your torso, your rib cage, all the way up to the upper lobes of your lungs. You're becoming aware of your lungs. And then as you exhale again, exhale from the very top all the way down to the bottom. And let's do that one more time with your eyes closed. Just exploring your capacity to bring in that life force and exploring your lungs, bringing your attention, your awareness to that part of your body, allowing yourself to fill three-dimensionally, and then allowing the breath to drain out from the top to the bottom. Good. Slowly allow your eyes to blink open, and with your hands on the top of your knees, I want you to just kind of lengthen your chest forward as if you could pull your chest forward through the gates of your arms. Place your fingertips down on the floor in front of you. And feel your pelvis revolve as you slowly start to walk your fingertips forward, continuing to root down into your sitting bones. Pause when you're about halfway to where you feel like you can go. And then as you inhale, drag your chest forward a little bit more. And as you exhale, maybe take your hands out a little bit further or flatten your palms. So you're just feeling that stretch through the back of the body, the hips, the low back, maybe even the mid-back. Good. Now as you walk your hands back in, feel your pelvis revolve so that it's upright. Take your left hand out to the left, take your right arm up to the sky. Big inhale as if you could pour the breath into the right side of your lung. And as you exhale, slowly start to side bend over, bending into your left elbow and reaching through every single fingertip on your right hand. Turn the pinky side of your right hand down and try to turn the left side of your chest up towards the ceiling. And then continue to imagine that you're pouring that breath down through the right lung, all the way from the top to the bottom. Good. Inhale, back to neutral. Take your left arm up to the sky. And as you exhale, start to side bend over. And observe how much you can press your left sitting bone down into the earth as you stretch through your left fingertips. And trying to turn those right ribs forward, left ribs back a little bit more. Good. Inhale all the way back up to the top and imagine you were squeezing a block between your palms. Good. And as you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Just pause here and take a moment to observe how you feel in this moment. Good, and then place your hands down by your sides. Extend your legs out in front of you like Dandasana. And then wiggle your feet and your knees. Just allow yourself to move around, find some movement. Good, now cross your opposite shin in front and be aware that your knees, again, are right in front of your hip point. So they're not as wide as we generally send them. It's more like you're crossed at the shins. Hands on the top of the knees, and as you inhale, lift your chest. And as you exhale, start to fold forward again. And then place your fingertips down on the floor in front of you. Again, inhale, imagine you could drag your sternum forward using your shoulder blades to press into the front of your body. And as you exhale, you can walk your hands a little bit further forward or find flat palms. Continuing to lift through the lowest part of the belly, so you're stretching from your navel to your sternum and your sternum through the crown of your head. Feel your sitting bones rooting down as you feel the length through the sides of the body. Good, and then slowly walk your hands back in and feel your pelvis, again, upright. So we went from a tilt to an upright pelvis, yeah? Take both arms up to the sky. Big inhale, feel that breath pouring in from the top to the bottom. And as you exhale, slowly start to revolve towards the left. Take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. Take your left fingertips behind you. Notice if you lost any height there, and as you inhale, pour the breath from the top to the bottom, but imagine your spine was lifting up as if to receive the breath. And as you exhale, contract your belly muscles and gently twist a little bit deeper. So imagine that your spine, your torso, is excited to receive that breath as it pours in like water into a pitcher. And as you exhale, you find a little bit of a deeper contraction in your abdominals. Take one more round of breath and observe your pattern. Good, and then slowly look forward and revolve your body back to the front. Inhale your arms up to the sky again. Relax those inner upper shoulders. Imagine your arms lifting or lifting your ribcage right out of your pelvis. And as you exhale, contract your belly muscles and twist in the opposite direction. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. Take your right fingertips behind you. As you inhale, like you're reaching for that breath. Imagine how a plant or a flower reaches for the sun. And as you exhale, slowly allow your belly muscles to deepen the twist. Take 2 more rounds of breath on your own. Good, and then when you're complete, look forward, release your twist, and you can move your blanket aside and come to all fours on your yoga mat. So, before we get started with cat and cow, let's turn our fingers to face the knees. I haven't done this in a little while. And just observe that stretch in your wrists. Maybe attempting to shift your hips backwards a little bit more as you attempt to glue the crease where your wrist and your palm come together down into the floor. Might want to micro bend the elbows a little bit and explore what happens with that micro bend. Good, and then turn your fingers to face the center of your yoga mat. So your fingers will face one another. And gently start to shift from side to side. So just warming up, connecting to some of those muscles through the forearms and the wrists that maybe we don't always connect to. Good, and then flip your palms over. So your fingers are still facing your knees. You might want to do one at a time because it can be kind of intense. And just imagine you could lift up out of your armpits and elongate your arms here. Good, now flip your hands over, spread your fingers out nice and wide. Make sure that your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders. And take a few rounds of cat and cow where you're synchronizing breath and movement together. Still with the idea of pouring that breath into the lungs. And there's that receptiveness, that willingness to receive that life force in all of its splendor, in all of the capacity in which you can take it in. Like you're moving energy, you're irrigating and cleansing through all of the cells of your body. Let's take 3 more, or if you want to open it up and do something else, feel free to make big circles with your hips, or double dutch your rib cage, or move your shoulders, or even take a few rounds of child's pose, or just a hold in child's pose, whatever you want. Good. And then come back into a neutral spine. So we're really going to be super mindful about the subtleties of what is a neutral spine. So it's like you're zipping up that tiny zipper from pubic bone to navel, feeling the tailbone get a little bit longer, reaching the crown of your head into the front of the room, and imagining your shoulder blades were moving down into your back pockets if you had back pockets. Tuck your toes under, hover your kneecaps 1/2 of an inch above your yoga mat, and keep sliding your shoulder blades down your back as you imagine dragging your toes towards the front of your mat. Take an inhale here, And as you exhale with very bent knees, start to lift your hips away from your shoulders. So keep the knees very bent for now. So you see just how much you can stretch by trying to press the front of your yoga mat towards the front of the room and trying to lift your hips as far away from that line as you possibly can. Lift up high onto the balls of your feet. See if you can lift your sitting bones up a little bit higher so you feel the belly of your hamstrings get a nice stretch. And then release your heels down towards the floor, spinning your inner thighs towards the back wall. And trying to lift all 10 toes up away from the floor. So it doesn't matter if your heels touch or not. Look back at your toes and make sure that your heels are hiding behind your toes. And then see if you can lift up and create more space underneath that triangle of your body in downward facing dog. So as if you could make that triangle, that pyramid, grow a little bit taller by lifting your body a little bit taller. Good, and then on your next inhale breath, shift forward to the top of a push-up, stack the shoulders on top of the wrists. Press into the inner part of your palms to elongate through the inseams of your arms and spin the eyes of your biceps forward. And then can you lift the sides of your waist a little bit higher? Can you press your heels back against an imaginary wall behind you as you reach the crown of your head into the front of the room? Take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, lower your belly all the way down to the mat. It doesn't matter if you drop your knees first. It doesn't matter if you rock back to child's pose and drag yourself forward any way you want to. Just land on your mat. I'm going to move my blocks aside for now. Reach your arms forward with the karate chop pinky edge of your hand down on the floor. So it's as if you were squeezing a block out in front of you. Now, I want you to push down into the top of your right foot, and I want you to push down into your left hand, right? And then I want you to imagine that left inner thigh is floating up towards the ceiling. And as much as you're karate chopping the floor with your left hand, float your right arm up and get longer from the left foot all the way to the right hand. And you can feel the opposite limbs pressing down. The more you press down, the more you can float up. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, return your limbs back down to the floor. So I want you to press your right karate chop hand down into the floor and the top of your left foot. Make that connection. See if you can make your right leg a little bit longer and then float your right leg up from the inner thigh side of your right leg. See if you can make your left arm a little bit longer and then float your left arm up and feel your pubic bone in contact with the floor. The more you press the limbs that are down, on the floor down, the more you can float up and feel the expansiveness of the posture. Good, take one more inhale, and as you exhale, return your limbs back down to the floor. Great. Take your block and on the skinny setting, squeeze the block between your inner thighs. Take your other block on the wide setting. Remember when I said we were squeezing a block out in front of us? We're actually going to do that. So you have your block on the wide setting and the digits of every single one of your fingers is squeezing into the sides of the block. Good. Now press your pubic bone down into the floor and see if you can elongate your arms a little bit longer. Keep your eyes on the front edge of your yoga mat. And while squeezing the block with your inner thigh, start to lift the block out in front of you up off of the floor. Squeeze the block between your thighs like crazy. So much so that maybe your toes lift up off of the floor. The pubic bone still presses down. Hold. Keep rolling the triceps down. Keep rolling the biceps up. Take one more breath. And as you exhale, release it down. Keep the block between your inner thighs. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Keep squeezing the block between your inner thighs. Pull your hands backwards on the yoga mat. Roll your shoulder heads away from the mat and feel your upper spine coil up away from the mat. Keep squeezing that block between your inner thighs. Notice the effect. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, allow your spine to uncoil back down towards the mat. As you inhale, again, pull your yoga mat backwards. Peel your chest away from the floor as if it was a piece of tape. Squeeze the block like crazy. Good, and as you exhale, roll back down. Good, so some of you guys are gonna get back to downward facing dog a different way. Some of you guys who wanna work strength a little bit more, tuck your toes under, squeeze the block like crazy, lift your kneecaps away from the mat, take an inhale, and as you exhale, push the floor away, come back up into a plank pose. Good. When you arrive, take an inhale, and as you exhale, lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog with the block squeezed between your inner thighs. So now I want you to think about lifting the block up towards the very top of your inner thighs and also pressing the block backwards. And then can you lift from the underside of your arms, lifting up out of your armpits, roll the shoulder blades towards the outer part of your arms. Great. And then just bend your knees, come down, and move your block aside. So the blocks will be at the front edge of your yoga mat. Tuck your toes under again and pretend you still have a block between your inner thighs. What did that create in your legs? As you come back into downward facing dog, observe if there's anything that's been imprinted in your neuromuscular system. Good, now slowly, this is my favorite part of every class. Walk your hands back towards your feet. I always really enjoy this transition and then enjoy observing where your hamstrings are at today. So bend your knees a little bit. Clasp your opposing elbows. Notice which one is on top or on bottom. And then imagine that your elbows had dumbbells attached to them and they were dragging down towards the ground. As you engage your quadriceps, try to lift your kneecaps up. So you're not thinking about straightening the knees necessarily, but of lifting them up. Keep weighting those elbows down. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, release your hands to the floor. Open your mouth and sigh it out. And then clasp your opposite elbow in front or on top. Think about those dumbbells pulling down towards the floor as you engage your quadriceps to lift the kneecaps up. Allow your breath to be cleansing and full. Keep inviting more of that breath in. Take an inhale. As you exhale, release your hands to your fingertips to the floor. Breathe it all the way out. And then inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, fold back in. And then find the four corners of your feet and press them down into the earth. And feel the texture of your yoga mat, specifically under those four corners. And then feel as if there was energy that could rise from the four corners of your feet all the way up your legs. Circle your arms up to the ceiling, reach for the sky. Relax your inner upper shoulders, soften your front ribs in. And as you exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Pause here. Notice how you're feeling in this moment. Take a step to the front of your yoga mat. Look down at your feet. Make sure that your feet are balanced left to right, front to back, inside to outside. And then remember when you had that block between your inner thighs. Try to remember the sensation of revolving the block back behind you. As you inhale, circle your arms up to the sky. Interlace everything except the pointer finger. Notice which thumb is on top. As you exhale, side bend towards the right. Press down into your left foot. Just breathe your left lung open and full. On your next inhale breath, rise up to the center, and as you exhale, side bend towards the left. Press down into your right foot. And imagine the right side of your body could keep lengthening. Now your body's like a leaf that's reaching for the sun. Good. Good. Inhale, back up to the top. Release the interlace of your hands. Exhale, cactus your elbows, back bend, lift your chest. Good. Inhale, arms all the way back up. Exhale, fold forward, long spine. As you inhale, lift your chest. And as you exhale, step your right foot to the back of the yoga mat. Drop your right knee down to the yoga mat. Press the top of your right foot and your right shin down. And as you inhale, circle the arms, creating space from the front of your pelvis to your left thigh. Good. As you exhale, bring your hands back down. Tuck your back toes under. Step your left foot back to meet your right. Pause in your plank pose. Feel your body get longer as the sides of your waist lift a little higher. Drop your knees to the floor. Look over the front edge of your yoga mat. And as you exhale, lower halfway down, chaturanga. As you inhale, pull your chest forward. Maybe lift your thighs away from the floor. Baby cobra or upward facing dog, you choose. And as you exhale, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Feel as if you still had that block between your inner thighs. The right leg lifts straight back behind you on an inhale. On an exhale, step your foot between your hands. Drop your back knee down to the floor. Press the top of your left foot and your left shin down into the floor as you inhale. Circle the arms. Feel your ribcage lifting up out of your pelvis. Gorgeous. As you exhale, bring your hands down to the floor. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee away from the mat. Pause in the slow lunge. If you need your blocks, put your hands on the blocks. Just letting that hip flexor lengthen out on your left side. Good. And then step your left foot forward to meet your right. As you inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, fold it in. As you inhale, circle your arms, reach all the way up, gather all of that energy above you. And as you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Check in with yourself again. Again, inhale, circle the arms, interlace the fingers, opposite thumb on top. This time we go the other way, so take a big inhale, and as you exhale, side bend towards the left. Press your right foot down into the yoga mat. Really explore the length of the right-hand side of your body. Inhale back up into the top. And as you exhale, side bend towards the right. Enjoy that breath pouring into your body. Inhale back up to the top. Release the interlace as you exhale. Back bend. Cactus the elbows. Lift the chest. Inhale the arms back up to the sky. And as you exhale, hinge, fold forward, long spine. As you inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, step your left foot to the back of the yoga mat. Drop your back knee down. Press the top of your foot and your shin. Inhale, rise up. Lift your ribcage up out of your pelvis. Gorgeous. Exhale, hands to the floor. Tuck your back toes under. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Option to drop your knees or option to keep lifting those inner thighs up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale. As you exhale, halfway down, chaturanga. As you inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. Shoulders away from the ears. Roll the inner biceps forward. Exhale, hips up and back. Downward facing dog. As if you still had that block between your inner thighs. As if you could keep lifting the triangle underneath you taller. Inhale your left leg straight back behind you. As you exhale, bring your knee forward, step your foot between your hands. Drop your back knee down. Touch the top of your foot down. As you inhale, circle your arms, reach up to the sky. As you exhale, hands come down. Lift your back knee away from the mat. Pause here again in the low lunge. Grab your blocks if you need them. Imagine you were trying to scissor your left heel backwards, your right toes forward, spinning your right inner thigh up towards the ceiling. Then take one more inhale. As you exhale, step your foot forward. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale. exhale, fold it in. Inhale, circle, rise, gather everything up above you. Exhale, hands come together in front of your heart. Surya Namaskar, one round. Inhale, circle your arms, gather all of that energy. Everything is engaged. Exhale, hinge from your hips, fold forward. As you inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, step, walk, or if you're jumping back, land with bent elbows. So you absorb gravity. Inhaling, lifting the chest. And exhaling, taking your hips up and back. And imagining stretching your yoga mat forward with your hands, lifting the inside, the underside of your forearms up as you roll your triceps down. So kind of like counter actions. Take a few more breaths here. Good, and then bend your knees, look forward, step upward, jump to the top of your mat. As you inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, fold back down. Observe your toes, big toes touching, heels slightly apart, or feet are hip distance, either one. Bend your knees and circle your arms, Utkatasana chair pose. So you're reaching your arms as if your rib cage could follow the palms of your hands. Cut the triceps forward as if your shoulder blades could hug the sides of your body. Imagine that your hips are moving backwards on a diagonal angle. Good, take one more inhale. And as you exhale, stand all the way up and bring your hands together in front of your heart. Another opportunity to connect. Good, now shift the weight to your right foot. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. Flex your left foot strong. So we're being aware of all of the parts of our body. Yeah? Feel where your left sitting bone is. See if you can drop it down a little bit lower so that your pelvis is even. Good. Now, keep holding your knee with your left hand. Bring your right hand to the front of your right hip. And without letting your pelvis move, just externally rotate your left thigh bone inside of your hip socket. So you're bringing it out to the side. Good. Really nice, Carlton. Good. Now slowly bring it back to the center so your pelvis didn't move. Did your foot fall asleep? Mine fell asleep. Keep flexing your left foot strong. Now take your right hand, catch a hold of the outside of your left knee. Pause. You're holding with both. Take your time. Take your left arm, reach it around behind you. So we twisted a little in the beginning. This is a nice, easy twist as long as we have the balance, right? Which we may or we may not. Good. Now from here, I want you guys to think dancer pose. So you're going to slowly start to bring your left leg down. Reach your right arm forward. Catch your left ankle with your left hand. And once you're solid, start to open it up and really explore the shape of your shoulder blades here, pressing into the front of the body. Good, really nice. Set your gaze, set your drishti, we'll use it later. Good, slowly return, take your right arm straight up to the sky, bring your left heel all the way towards your left hip, roll both inner thighs towards the back of the room, and then release your foot and release your arm down. Take a moment, take a breath. Shake it out, yeah, if you need to. Shift the weight over to your left side. Hug your right knee in. Take a moment to notice where everything is. Where is your right sitting bone? Are your inner thighs flaring? Can you keep them engaged, spinning back? Can you continue to grow tall so that your torso is standing on top of your straight left leg? Good. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Slowly start to open your right thigh bone out inside of your right hip socket. Pause. Good. So you're still breathing, right? Still letting that life force move in and out joyfully. Bring your knee back in front of you. Wrap your left hand around the front of your knee. Take a moment to enjoy holding with both hands for a moment. When you're ready, circle your right arm around and back behind you. Don't forget about your right foot. It's flexed. Right toes, wake up, everybody. Flex them. Let me see them wiggle. I can see them now. There we go. Good. Now think dancer pose, your transition. As you release your legs, slowly reach your left arm forward. Catch your right ankle with your right hand. And then open it up. And think of the opening being right at the middle of your back. You're trying to express your heart forward. At the same time, you're kicking your shin backwards to feel that right collarbone opening up. And there's just also that element of elegance here. Focus, pausing. Go ahead, slowly bring your right knee down so it points towards the floor, left arm up to the ceiling. Breathe with it. Slowly release your limbs. Take another pause. Good. Bend your knees, circle your arms. Utkatasana chair pose. As you exhale, fold forward, straighten the legs. Inner thighs are spinning backwards as you inhale, reach the chest forward. And as you exhale, step, walk, or jump back for your vinyasa. You can always skip it and go straight to downward facing dog. Not a bad idea ever. And as you find your way to downward facing dog, without lifting the right leg, step the right foot between the hands. Heel toe the right foot over to the right. Seal the outer edge of your left foot down so that your left toes are pointing to the left front corner of your yoga mat. And start to spin your left inner thigh towards the back wall. Think about injecting your right thigh bone straight into your hip socket. And then as you inhale, rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. Remember when we were squeezing that block lying on our belly? Imagine you were squeezing your block up above you. Good, now join your palms together and imagine your heart magnetizing up towards your thumbs. Bring your hands together in front of your heart as you exhale. Heel toe your right foot over to the left a little bit. And open it up for Virabhadrasana 2. So you bend your right knee a little deeper. Elongate the inseam of your right leg. Draw your outer right knee towards your outer right hip. And just pause here. Find your breath. Can you feel that breath joyfully pouring in like you're filling a pitcher? Find that sense of being a warrior. What does that mean in this exact moment in your life right now? Good. As you inhale, press into the mound of your right big toe, straighten your right leg, straighten your arms up above you. As you exhale, return to Warrior 2, firming your triceps all along the way. Pause here. Good. Now take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Let's say right thumb on top of left so we can be consistent. Square your chest and your belly towards the front. Look down at your right knee and make sure it's still moving towards the right side of your yoga mat. So more towards your pinky toe than your big toe. Take an inhale as you drive your knuckles down, make your spine longer. And as you exhale, start to lean your right shoulder down over your right leg. Keep rolling your left shoulder back. So we're creating this twist in our upper body. Right shoulder tries to go down, left shoulder tries to go up towards the ceiling. Good, now release the interlace of your hands. Reach your right arm forward, reach your left arm back behind you. And then either take your right hand down to a block, to the inside or outside of your right ankle, or bring your forearm to your thigh. Take your left arm straight up to the sky. And then scoop your left arm over your ear, reaching, elongating through that left side of the body. I'm going to take about 5 really slow, really long breaths here. So press more into the outer edge of your left foot. Try to create an arch in your left foot. Notice what happens when you get still and quiet. And you continue to work the posture. And then at a certain point you let go and you just let it be. Take your left arm straight back up to the ceiling. Look down towards your right foot or at your right hand. And using your core, rise up to warrior two again. Good. Press into the mound of your right big toe again. If you need to, shorten your stance a little bit. We're moving towards Trikonasana. So you might heel toe your left foot in one step. Think about deepening the crease of your right hip, moving your pelvis backwards so you can stretch your torso forward. And then place your hand back down on your block, inside or outside of your ankle, whatever is more comfortable today. Track your right sitting bone towards the arch of your left foot and firm your outer right shin in towards the midline, towards your calf. Let your breath remain smooth. Good. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Bend into your right knee. Look forward. Scoot your block about 8 inches forward of your pinky toe. And float your left heel to the height of your sitting bone for Ardha Chandrasana. So you're not necessarily trying to stack your left hip on top of your right. More so you're trying to have a really firm, strong left inner thigh. And a really strong lift of your pelvis off of your right leg. If you want to stretch your left arm up to the ceiling or take Chapasana, last few breaths in Ardha Chandrasana. As you're ready, slowly start to bend your right knee, reach your left leg way back behind you, and rise back up into warrior two. Good. Now straighten your right leg again and turn your right foot so that your feet are parallel. So you're facing the long edge of your yoga mat. Good. Now turn your toes out 45 degrees so you can see where that is. Bend your knees so that your knees track over the second and third toes. So we're lowering down. It's like a plie shape. It's also called horse pose. It's very grounding. Arms reach out to the sides. Wrap your left arm underneath your right arm. Either hug yourself or take Garudasana arms. Moving your palms away from your face. Sit your hips a little bit deeper. Lift the front of your pelvis up a little bit more. Imagine you could press your entire back body against an invisible wall behind you. Good. Straighten your legs, unravel your arms, circle them around, turn your right foot to face forward, turn your left toe slightly in, bend your right knee again. And as you inhale, reverse your warrior. And as you exhale, cartwheel your hands down towards your right foot. Pivot to the ball of your back foot. Grab both blocks on either side of your right foot and hop your left foot in about a third of the way for pyramid pose. Folding over your right leg. Spin both inner thighs towards the wall behind you. And allow the crown of your head to magnetize down towards the floor. Good. Now walk your blocks a tiny bit forward. Pitch onto the ball of your back left foot. And you're going to lift your left foot away from the floor. Bring your left knee towards the outside of your right heel. And you're going to sit all the way down. Okay? So you have your right leg crossed over your left leg. Roll yourself forward a little bit. And try to get your knees to stack one on top of the other. And then you can take one of your blocks and place it behind your hips. Okay? If that is not working in your body, you just come to this situation instead. Okay? But we're moving into Gomukhasana. Somehow I'm way off the edge of my mat. So, right leg stacked on top of the left. Now, this is where you might need your strap. You take your strap, you take the buckle side in your right hand, you take your right arm up to the sky. You bend your right elbow and you can use your left hand to push your elbow gently down your back. And then think about the right tricep moving towards the front. Reach the left arm out to the left, reach around behind your back and catch your strap. If you don't need the strap, you can hook your fingertips together. Take a few more breaths. Continue to allow that breath to pour in. Remember not to let your head drop forward, so keep lifting the crown of your head. Good, you guys. Awesome. Gorgeous. And then slowly unravel your arms. Move your strap aside if you were using one. Rock your body forward. Find your right foot back on the floor. And shift your weight to lunge your left leg way back behind you. Take a moment to reorient yourself. Good. And then bring the block underneath your left hand. You can drop your back knee down if you want to. Spin the right arm up towards the sky. Squeeze that left shoulder blade down your back as you invite the sunshine into your heart. Good. Some of you guys might choose to transition through Vashisthasana. Feel free to do so. However you would like to, find your way back to downward facing dog. It was a long series. And when you come back into downward facing dog, revisit the idea of spinning your inner thighs as if you were still holding that block. Good. Without lifting your left leg, step your left foot forward. Heel toe your left foot over to the left a little bit. Seal the outer edge of your right foot down. So your right toes are facing the right front corner of your yoga mat. Your right inner thigh spins back and up as your left thigh bone injects right into your hip socket. Rise up into Virabhadrasana 1. And as you do, feel the low belly lifting and scooping. Draw your palms to touch and then magnetize your heart towards your thumbs. Lift your heart. Good. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Heel toe your left foot towards the right. And open up for Virabhadrasana 2. Great, you guys. So, you're thinking about that conveyor belt of energy from your inner left thigh to your outer left hip. Drawing your thigh bone into your hip socket. Glance down at your knee. Make sure it's tracking over the center of your foot. Can you elongate the sides of your waist out of your pelvis? Imagine you could get skinnier or longer through the bottom part of your waist. These look great. Relax your shoulders. Good. As you inhale, straighten your left leg. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Good. As you exhale, return to Warrior 2. Interlace your hands behind your back. Let's say left thumb on top of the right. And as you square your chest and your belly towards the long edge of your mat, notice your left knee. It should not be dipping in inside of your ankle. It should be pointing still over the center of your foot. Reach your knuckles down. Reach the crown of your head up. As you exhale, start to shift forward, pressing your shoulder blades into the front of your body. Pause here. Keep drawing that left thigh bone inside of the hip. Roll your right lung up towards the ceiling. Turn your left lung down towards the floor. And then stretch the left arm forward, right arm back behind you. Get that opposition. Good. And then take your hand down, either forearm to thigh or hand to the block on the inside or the outside of your ankle. You choose. Wherever your arm is, your knee is pressing into your arm, whether it's the inside or the outside. Now, as if you're scooping water, reach your right arm over your ear. Press into the outer edge of your right foot. Create a greater arch underneath the right sole of your foot. And hold here. Enjoy that breath pouring in as you continue to spiral your left lung down towards the floor. Your right lung up towards the ceiling. Notice what happens in the stillness and the silence. Right arm back up to the sky. Look down. Use your core to rise up. Warrior 2. Good. Now straighten your left leg again. Shorten the distance if you need to. Deepen the crease of your left hip. So your pelvis tilts. You can see that little tilt. As you reach your left arm out, elongate through the left side of your body. Hand comes down to the block. Right arm reaches up to the sky. So it's like you're trying to lean the back of your skull backwards against an imaginary wall behind you. You're trying to press your pelvis towards the long edge of your mat that you're looking at. Keep trying to reach your shoulder blades into the front of your body. Keep thinking of that wheel behind your shoulder blades that you're trying to arch over. These look good. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Bend into your left knee. Look forward. Scoot your block about 8 inches forward of your pinky toe. And find your way up to Ardha Chandrasana as if you were wearing a stirrup on your left foot. It's lifting the energy up. Really strong right leg. 10-pound dumbbell hanging off of your right leg. Arm to the sky, Chapasana, whatever variation you choose in this moment to keep you fully present and also without ambition. And you move there because it's in your joy to move there, not because you have to do it for any reason. Good. Slowly start to bend your left knee. Reach your right leg way back behind you. Land in your warrior two. Good. Straighten your left leg again. Turn your feet to parallel. Just a moment with your feet in parallel, so your second toe is aligned to the short edges of your yoga mat. And then turn your toes so they're 45 degrees, right? So lower down into your horse pose, arms out to the sides. Good, lean your back against an imaginary wall behind you and wrap your right arm underneath your left arm. Opposite. Lift the elbows, move the forearms away from your face and sit your hips a little bit lower, find your edge. Keep trying to split the knees apart from each other, a little more, Charles, as you lift the front of your pelvis up. Try to lift your inner arches away from the floor. Good. Stand all the way up, unravel your arms. Turn your left toes forward, turn your right toes in, split the arms, bend your left knee again. Flip your left palm over, inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, pivot to the ball of your back foot, find your blocks again, and hop your right foot in about a third of the way from pyramid pose. You can line up heel to heel or a little bit wider. Spin the inner thighs towards the back midline of your yoga mat as you press down into the ball mound of your left big toe. Good, now start to shift the weight forward, lift your right heel away from the floor, lift your right foot away from the floor, and bring your right knee towards your left ankle. And then you can take a moment and set it up. So you stack your left knee on top of your right, place the block behind you, sit down on the block. You have your strap handy, coming into Gomukhasana. So make any adjustments that you need to. You might just stay here, that would be okay. Otherwise, take the belt in the left hand, bring your arm behind your back, and then use your right hand to press your elbow gently down. Don't let your head drop forward, so press your skull backwards into your left arm and feel the front of your spine elongate as you wrap your right arm all the way around and come into your full-on Gomukhasana. If you need a little bit more, you think about in the beginning where we were tilting the pelvis forward and you shift yourself forward, but keep the sitting bones glued down to your block or to the floor. Good, and then slowly allow everything to unravel. Rock yourself forward, place your left foot back down. Interesting transition. It might not be all that graceful, but we'll work with it. And step your right foot all the way to the back of the mat. So you have your right hand on a block to the inside of your left foot. And you spin your left arm open as if you could invite that sunshine right into your heart. Deep, steady breathing, allowing your core musculature to churn your spine. Some of you guys might want to transition through Vashisthasana however you want to. Find your way back to downward facing dog. Good, and then bend your knees Step walker jump to the top of your mat. As you inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, fold back in. Bend your knees, circle your arms, Utkatasana chair pose. Okay, we're almost done, I promise, but shift the weight into your right leg. Cross your left thigh bone over your right. Maybe wrap your left ankle around your right calf. And then notice, can you square your hips back off? Can you draw that left hip crease back? Good. Now you're gonna wrap your right arm underneath your left arm. Coming into Garudasana. So this eagle pose represents a shift of our perspective. So that eagle can see from the east side of the sky, from the north side of the sky, from the right side of the sky, and can always shift the way we're seeing things so that we can see Vishnu or see God or see the divine in all things. Good, now slowly allow your arms to unravel. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. Reach your arms up to the sky. And as you exhale, return to Utkatasana. Good, now shift the weight into your left. Cross your right thigh bone over your left thigh bone, maybe your ankle. Maybe you use your toes for a kickstand, that's fine. And then notice that right hip is trying to go forward, so draw that right hip back. Good. Now wrap your opposite arm. Right arm on top of the left arm. Lift the elbows a little higher. Keep scooping the belly and think about that eagle eye perspective. You might dip in close to the earth and see things right up close, or you might take a really long view from the clouds. Slowly unravel, draw your right knee in towards your chest, reach your arms up to the sky. Good, and then release your right foot down. Circle your arms, Utkatasana chair pose. And then sit your hips all the way down. Bring your legs up so that your toes are in your eye line. Navasana. Lift your chest, reach your arms forward. Find that steady gaze. Good, as you inhale, lower down. Ardha Navasana, inner thighs still spinning down towards the floor. Lift your shoulder blades a little higher as you think of revolving your inner thighs down a little bit more. 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Take a few deep breaths here. So perseverance and non-attachment. Drop your heels down to the floor, drop your arms down to the floor. Bend your knees, place the soles of your feet down on your yoga mat. Grab the outer edges of your yoga mat with your hands. Try to rip your yoga mat in half so that you feel your collarbones getting wider. And then start to elongate your tailbone towards the backs of your knees to lift your hips up. Good, and now shimmy your shoulder blades to the center of your back, interlace your fingers, and puff up your chest towards your chin as you scoop your low belly out. Spin your inner thighs down towards the floor as you lift the outer hips up. Notice what happens when you get still and silent. Good, and then release the interlace of your hands and roll yourself down, vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae. Now, find your block again. You can use 1 or 2 blocks. We're going to set up for a supported bridge this time, so if you're taking 2 blocks, you can stack them one on top of the other for a little bit more stability, or you can set your blocks on any setting. So you're placing your sacrum underneath the block. And then bring your legs in, one and then the other, and extend your legs up to the ceiling for a supported shoulder stand. Rest the arms down by your side and feel your shoulder blades rising up into your chest. Now stay here if you like this, if this feels like everything you ever needed to recirculate energy through your body. If you need a bigger back bend today, bend your knees and come down, and then try straightening your legs out. And if that's too much, just back out of it. If you want even more, reach your arms back behind you. And then wherever you are, listen to that inner wisdom, that inner teacher. Make intelligent transitions, slow and mindful, to eventually bring yourself back down to lying on your back. And when you get there, separate your feet hip distance apart and windshield wiper the knees from side to side, just releasing your back. And then take the next minute or two to close your practice any way you see fit. So you might need a twist, you might need a happy baby, you might want an early entry into Shavasana, you might want an early entry into a seated meditation. So do whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself. Focusing on your breath, staying present in your practice. And then as you're ready, find your way into Shavasana or seated meditation, however it is you'd like to embark on your week. And so in Sanskrit, there's a word called Shraddha, and it basically means the muscle of faith, like the willpower that it takes to maintain our faith. And we need that, right? Because in order to surrender and let go, we have to trust. We have to trust not just ourselves, but our path in life. That there is some meaning to how things unfold. That there's some growth that we can find through the circumstances that we encounter in our lives. So now is that opportunity to practice full detachment, like letting go, like surrendering, like really allowing your spirit to embody the home of your body. Think about that magic skeleton key that helps us see the divine in all things. And if it's helpful, you can visualize what that key looks like. You can see where that key is, where you store that key in your body or in your consciousness. last week we were talking about the layers upon which we find that awareness of divinity, and it starts with safety, right? When we find safety, we find peace. And when we find peace, we can find satisfaction, which leads to contentment. And when we have contentment, it's easier for us to connect with ourselves and others, and we find love. And it's through love that we can see the divine. And even if you replace the word divine with mystery, whatever it is that brings us to this life, we can honor and have gratitude for all of our experiences, that we may be given the opportunity to see the mystery in all things. So on your next inhale breath, stretch it out, elongate, wake up, energize, activate your body. Start to move the energy that you've cultivated. Hug your knees to your chest, maybe rock a bit side to side. Take all the time in the world that you need, and if you stay in Shavasana for another 10 minutes, that would be totally fine. But if you're ready, go ahead and roll yourself over and bring yourself to a seat. If you want to sit up on your blanket again, so that your knees can descend and your inner thighs can revolve. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And allow your spine to reflect the quality of alertness. And allow your mind to reflect the quality of humility. And allow your heart to reflect the quality of love and gratitude. And when we open our eyes and we say namaste, we are acknowledging that divinity or that mystery that moves through all things, that moves through our entire world. So don't take it lightly. Slowly allow your eyes to open. Namaste. So thank you guys. Let's all stay positive and stinky inner strap, so cute. Let's all stay positive and willing to see the divine or the mystery in all things, no matter how things unfold as the week goes on. Thank you. Have a beautiful start to your week. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns.